So, I originally edited your proper seamless video essay here with lots of clips from Gladiator, but it turns out, no matter what I do to fiddle about with it, I cannot get it past the automated copyright system, which is a rare occurrence for me. And trying to appeal it has resulted in me being issued a copyright strike, so rather than wait the 3 or so weeks to win that appeal, I've changed the entire aesthetic of this video to now give you a lovely Dave's Walks background instead, and some less Gladiator sounding but calmer meditative music. I can only get away with showing a few clips from the movie, and only when I put them in this box or else screenshots, but I'll still give you all the key things for the analysis ahead. Otherwise, enjoy a now relaxing stroll through John O'Groats Harbour while we have a tranquil discussion about political conspiracy and gladiator combat. Gladiator is a wonderful film by Ridley Scott starring Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix. You've also got the great Richard Harris playing Marcus Aurelius, Derek Jacobi as the Senator Gracchus, and Oliver Reed, who died before the film was even finished and yet still gave us an incredibly satisfying and significant Proximo. And yet, none of these actors are responsible for the best character in the movie. Nope, Commodus is great. I know, Joaquin Phoenix gives the best performance of the movie, no one's ever doubting that. And Maximus certainly gets the most cool things to do, but the best character is Lucilla, performed by Connie Nielsen. Severely underrated, never talked about enough. I am 100% correct on this, and I'm going to tell you why. Are you ready? Let's start by pointing out we need Lucilla in order for Commodus to be as impactful. What makes Commodus so compelling, beyond his jealousy for Maximus, his ineptitude with the Senate, and his desperation to be adored by the people? Of course, we have to also mention the heart-wrenching scene he has with Marcus Aurelius at the beginning, but also it's his relationship to Lucilla. That's the real heart of it, where all of Commodus's most conflicting and vulnerable and creepy behaviours come to the surface. Without her, we'd barely get to see any of it. At the beginning of this film, the characters are both introduced together, and we only get a mild sense of affection between them. Commodus is brooding and eager to be named heir, where Lucilla is playful, confident, able to ease her brother.
You wouldn't have summoned them.
Peace, Commodus. For 2 weeks on the road, your incessant scheming is hurting my head.
But there's also this faint sense that she's deflecting with him a little, using the playfulness to curb and to guide him, and as we later discover, partly to keep her boundaries in check with a brother who desires her. She uses confidence and playfulness to maintain a level of soft power, and yet beneath the surface you never quite feel the confidence. There's this underlying fear, inevitably, like Commodus is some unpredictable danger that needs constant softening, constant easing. And in these early scenes before the fear ramps up, it's such a brilliantly subtle performance. Confidence and playful on the surface, fearful and distant beneath. Needing to appear relaxed, and yet Lucilla is never able to properly relax.
First thing I shall do is have a hot bath.
And then things do ramp up. We see Lucilla becoming more and more terrified internally, never able to express any of it, because if she does, Commodus will suspect she's against him. Watching that suffocated fear become more and more palpable is the core tension in this movie, the central factor in what makes Commodus feel so foreboding. Is Maximus going to survive his next fight? That is a tension, but it's not the central one. Is Maximus going to get his revenge? Yeah, that's kind of, but I wouldn't say that's the tension. I'd say that's more the hope. What's Commodus going to do, though? Will he assassinate Maximus? Will he discover the conspiracy? Will he discover Lucilla's betrayal? Another very good one, will he kill Lucius, Lucilla's son? All of this stuff depends on seeing Joaquin Phoenix give a really great performance, yes, but also seeing Lucilla trying not to react to it, trying to stifle the inner fear and conflict in the face of him. Don't believe me? Okay, well let's take 2 scenes where even before Commodus does anything, just seeing Lucilla's reaction adds so much tension. In this first scene, it's just Lucilla walking in and seeing Commodus talk to somebody else. Most of the movie, she's been trying to keep him under her influence and her control, stop him doing anything stupid or dangerous, but then she walks in and sees him talking to Falco. Falco's not a character who's had much set up in this film, and even without Falco saying anything menacing, just spotting them talk induces so much dread. Similarly, Lucilla going to her son, seeing pretending he's not there and being told he's with the Emperor. That fact and her reaction induces so much, and all of that's because Connie Nielsen has done a good job setting up and slowly ramping up this internal fear all throughout the story. By the way, Lucilla is a real historical figure who was the son of Marcus Aurelius and did plot to assassinate her brother, the Emperor Commodus. That much in this film is at least true. When it failed, Commodus did the classic thing of banishing her to Capri and then quietly sending a soldier to execute her afterwards. I think the vast majority of this movie isn't accurate fiction, but there are times accuracy enhances the story and the immersion, and there are times you just want to revel in the fun that you can have through inaccuracy, sometimes to ridiculous extremes. Sometimes getting Karl Marx to throw sickles at a villainous Tesla wearing a mech suit. Look, I was contacted about the idea of sponsorship for the mobile game Heroes of History Epic Empire, and I said I'd give it a look because it is historical fiction, it is free to play, it's worth at least trying out. Okay, it's got 4.5 stars on Google Play, and okay, we've also got the foundations of a very satisfying city builder here, even a tech tree as you advance from the Stone Ages all the way up, and a story with the perfect amount of inaccurate, cheesy fun, involving time travel and Einstein using a portal to try and recruit historical figures from the past. I love the way this portal shoots out the phrase E=mc² over and over. You can unlock various historical and mythological figures. I've got Leonidas, Ulysses, William Tell, Boudica! Okay, I was already finding it fun, but now you've charmed me. Boudica's very local to where I grew up. I wasn't even aware people knew about her outside of East Anglia. There's a campaign with a ton of different battles, and I love how tactical this can be, choosing which of your heroes fight and where you place them. It can be quite tricky. This level here where you fight Imhotep, I just cannot get 3 stars on it. I've tried like 12 times. Ulysses is a defender, so I can chuck him and Leonidas up front to absorb damage, but they need proper support from behind. Ashoka the Great has an ability to heal allies, and Van Gogh does siege damage. Oh, I've actually done it now. I genuinely wasn't expecting that when I started recording. Look, I only take on sponsors that I do genuinely like. I've been playing Heroes of History for about 2 weeks now, and I am really enjoying it. If Heroes of History also appeals to you, then check it out like I did. Download the free link in the description, or scan this handy little QR code they've sent me. Yeah. Now, where were we? Senator Gracchus is arrested. That's ominous because she and Gracchus are conspiring with Maximus, but she can't show that. She knows there is this danger here, and yet she still has to go and see her brother and act with her usual calm comfort to him, whilst something is clearly wrong. That's huge strength of character, by the way. Massive courage.
Does Gracchus have a new lover?
I don't know.
I thought you'd seen him. He infects everyone like a putrid fever. For the health of the Rome, the Senate must be bled. And he will bleed too. Very soon.
But not tonight.
That fear and then forcing out the playful smile, that's a wonderful, wonderful scene. We need Lucilla for Commodus to function at his most creepy. But as I said, it's not just the creepiness and the tension, she also draws out his vulnerability. There are a lot of moments where Commodus is almost like a child, wanting Lucilla to play the role of a mother. And you've got this subtle conflict where she doesn't want to be that, and yet also it's her best way of maintaining influence over him and keeping herself safe.
Will you stay with me?
Still afraid of the dark, brother?
Always. Stay with me tonight.
I like the contrast between this early scene where he's suggesting his plan and indirectly seeking her approval about it. Kissing the ring on her finger. I think there are a lot of examples I could pull out, but there is something mother and son in the transference between them at times. I particularly like this ominous shot of Commodus watching Lucius sleep and then commenting to Lucilla,
He sleeps so well because he's loved.
ooh, is Commodus a little jealous of Lucius? To add to feeling jealous of Maximus and Marcus Aurelius and his sister, is there another reason for Lucilla to fear for her son's life? Not only is he the heir after Commodus, not only is he just by his presence a threat to that rule, but is he also a threat to Commodus's desire for Lucilla's affection and maternal comfort?
To be unable to mourn your father for fear of your brother. To live in terror every moment of every day because your son is heir to the throne.
Anyway, I got sidetracked there. I meant to say the contrast between him kissing the ring on her finger early on and then later in the movie as her confidence and influence has slowly been stripped down into greater fear, Commodus becoming more unpredictable and more dangerous as he feels threatened by Maximus. Commodus puts his head to her bosom, to use Commodus's own phrase.
The people are my children, and I shall hold them to my bosom and embrace them tightly.
And we see the total confusion in his feelings as he switches from seeking comfort here to desire. He pushes her down on the bed, asks her to open her mouth, and she's just rigid here, terrified and trying not to show it. If he sees her fear, he might be suspicious about it. It might mean, what is she hiding? And Commodus does see her fear, but instead of thinking that, my guess is he thinks she's afraid of the intimacy between them specifically, which, I mean, is probably true, yeah. But he was hoping she would invite a kiss here, and she doesn't. She looks afraid and potentially repulsed by the idea, so he collapses down beside her, feeling rejected. Commodus wants Lucilla to love him. And this is sort of my next point. Lucilla is the glue in this film. Her relationship with Commodus is what allows us to see all of these interesting and complex dimensions to Commodus, but she's also what makes the central rivalry of this film feel personal. Commodus and Maximus are opposed because Marcus Aurelius preferred his military general to his son. Yes, but also because Lucilla prefers him to her brother. She loves Maximus. We get a faint sense of romantic history between them in their younger days before Lucilla was forced to marry someone she did not love for politics, who then died, and now she is stuck with her brother, trying her best to A, keep her son safe from him by easing his insecurities, and B, try to stop him ruling so terribly that it creates any more danger. You know, if Commodus felt that people were clamouring to have him replaced, and there's this younger son who is heir, that might make Commodus feel threatened by Lucius, might motivate him to kill Lucius. All of this fear and concern for safety, and in the meantime there's this one shot she had of past happiness who comes swanning back into Rome. Well, not swanning, he's brought in as a slave. She's also what enables Lucius to work as a character, as he becomes a point of semi-rivalry between Commodus and Lucilla too, and also between him and Maximus. Commodus tries to be like Lucius's friendly uncle, wants Lucius on his side, but this kid prefers the idea of Maximus, the general turned gladiator.
I'm Maximus, the savior of Rome!
I kind of feel for Commodus when he takes Lucius down to the grounds to meet this masked gladiator. It's like a treat to him, try to make Lucius like him, but then they unmask the gladiator and it's bloody Maximus talking about revenge. That's a kick to the balls. She is also the glue between the military and the political sides of this film. She is the mediator between Maximus and Gracchus, the mediator between Commodus and the Senate as a whole.
But if you interrupt me again, I assure you that you shall.
Senator, my brother is very tired.
Her role as mother to Lucius is symbolic of what Maximus's own wife means to him. And on top of all of that, I think she's the perfect opposite to Maximus. He who is a great general and can fight well, but is painfully blunt and witless when it comes to politics. Almost gets himself killed at the start of this movie because of it. She is subtle and considerate and an absolute master of soft power and kind of needs to give him a bit of advice in the middle of this film. Women, of course, were often hugely significant in Roman politics through soft power roles. But this is the kind of strength that's so often underwritten or unrepresented in Hollywood. A woman in a position where no one will give her any direct power, and she's forced to play this tightrope act between all of these dangerous, impulsive people who do have power and wield swords and order troops. I love how the film emphasises the huge risk she takes to help Maximus, despite needing to protect her son. In a worse film, Lucilla would have just been a damsel in distress and a shallow love interest, but she is powerful and courageous and daring, and when Commodus does discover her betrayal, it's legitimately chilling the way he talks.
You will love me as I loved you. You will provide me with an heir.
It's also worth saying I think they convey all this threat to Lucilla in this film without it ever feeling gratuitous, and it's also worth emphasising again that this is the central tension of the movie. We're not worried about what might happen to Maximus because he's fully prepared to die and already lost everything. We're worried what might happen to Lucilla and to Lucius, and whether or not she is able to navigate that. I think the intricate internal conflict we get with Lucilla and Commodus, paired with the subtle but important political role she has to play, reminds me of everything that was good about Sansa and Joffrey in the A Song of Ice and Fire books. Not the show, they got it kind of wrong there, but I've talked a lot about the delicate intricacies of book Sansa. Senator Gracchus has obvious respect for Lucilla as a politician.
As always, your lightest touch commands obedience.
Marcus Aurelius respects her.
If only you had been born a man, what a Caesar you would have made.
In fact, I love her interactions with Marcus Aurelius as a whole. She gets to perhaps be the wittiest character in this movie. There's a whole world of not just tension, but impressive skill in watching her navigate Commodus's unpredictable behaviours. My favourite touch is the faint possibility she might be drugging him.
Commodus, drink this tonic.
We don't get any confirmation about this, but it would explain how she's able to keep slipping away and conspire with people. Here's a later scene that ends with him lying on the bed, and then it cuts to him waking up ages later, still exactly there. I think Lucilla has some of the best dialogue in general, because it's always dripping with so much subtext. She is this soft power figure, and she so rarely gets to express her intentions. Well, there is this scene that goes a bit too far, I think, but generally we're left to analyse it all subtextually, and it's fascinating to pick apart. Take this exchange with Maximus at the start of the movie. The context of this scene, Lucilla has spoken with Marcus Aurelius, who gave her an ominous instruction to look after her brother before changing the topic. So she's got this worry about if something is going to provoke Commodus, and Maximus then speaks to the Emperor and learns that he's not going to pass Rome over to Commodus. He wants Maximus to take control. Maximus is disturbed by the idea. He is visibly troubled when he bumps into Lucilla, who I think is fishing for information, trying to get a sense of what's about to happen.
What did my father want with you?
To wish me well before I leave for home.
You're lying. I could always tell when you were lying because you were never any good at it.
I never acquired your comfort with it.
Ooh, okay, they have some shared history of sorts. Maximus doesn't want to talk to her, and she wants to mine for information. Maximus seems to despise her for a scheming, manipulative nature. I think there are points at the beginning of this film where we're supposed to wonder if she's a villain. She makes this retort.
True, but then you never had to. Life is more simple for a soldier. Or do you think me heartless?
I think you have a talent for survival.
She stops Maximus walking off for a second time and asks,
Commodus expects that my father will announce his succession within days. Will you serve my brother as you served his father?
I'm not 100% sure. Is this a command? Is this imploring him to serve Commodus? Or is this a question? Is this trying to gauge his reaction to see if that's what her father really plans to do? I like this moment because I think it's probably the second one, but Maximus thinks it's the first, and it creates a disconnect here.
I will always serve Rome.
When he's then told about Marcus Aurelius' death and suspects Commodus has killed him, he glares at Lucilla. She's silently crying behind his curtain. He clocks her before he storms out, likely meaning he suspects she was involved in his death too. Something which, again, there's no direct dialogue about. All we get is this. Slap Commodus, and then diplomatically kiss his hand and hail him Caesar. It might not be the most satisfying arc, but I think the most interesting one our main character has in this film is his switch from despising Lucilla as a manipulative schemer into really, really respecting her strength, really understanding what she's had to do and how well she's done it for most of the film, where she also gets this banger of a line.
You love your son. You're strong for him.
I'm tired of being strong.
Simple, but very, very effective. People love Gladiator because of the fight scenes, the music, the people shouting strength and honour and making powerful speeches. But it's this kind of subtler background stuff that this film is filled with that elevates the movie. The fact that beneath all of this we have a surprisingly complex story about a woman in an impossible political and social situation. Then she and Maximus kiss, and I wish they wouldn't. I think it weakens the sense of love Maximus is supposed to have for his wife. I think it's a cheap bit of romance, and I especially hate that the second film confirms Lucius is actually Maximus's son. No, thank you very much, I prefer not. But I do also kind of get the kiss. Maximus symbolises the freedom she always wanted but was never allowed because she's always had to be so strong. When asking him if she's so different now, Maximus tells her she used to laugh more. I like that. You know, I'm not surprised you're tired, Lucilla. I would be exhausted. Lucilla's story is the harder one to tell. It doesn't get all of the cool moments Maximus's does, or the chilling villainy of Commodus, or even much direct focus at all, and yet it's impactful, it's effective, it binds the entire film together seamlessly. It takes a really delicate touch to get her story to work the way it does in this movie, and I wish people appreciated both Lucilla and Connie Nielsen more. Yep, that's this video. Let me know what you think, providing you 100% agree, because no one is allowed to question my opinions. I'm joking. Comment, like the video if you liked it, subscribe, maybe even support me on Patreon, or buy me a coffee. Otherwise, hopefully see you next time. And as ever, a special thank you goes to Flying Spider, Kellyanne Davidson, Luke Orr, Michael Gallagher, Ben Ree, Joshua C. Follier, and Chad Bramwell. Thank you.